Hey there, and welcome to Radio Free Bay Ridge. I'm Dan, and this is your hyper-local progressive podcast broadcasting from beautiful Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, in our wonderful studio.
Dan, it's not our studio.
This isn't our studio. I'm looking around. Where have I been taken here? There's like a sign that says...
Hey, Vibetown Mansion, baby!
Oh my god, what's happening?
Feels a little like an embassy.
Yes, I would say this is the embassy to our nation's capital, Bay Ridge, Brooklyn.
So in case anyone doesn't know, we have joining us in Vibetown Mansion, not our studio. We're joining Ember is really what's happening right here.
Congratulations for the honor.
We're not just hanging out with Ember right now. In case you don't know Ember.
It's not just that we like you.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
You are now a new contributor to the podcast.
Oh, well, why didn't anybody tell me?
This is a ambush interview.
Scary.
So today on the episode, we're going to be refreshing. I think a while back we did like a Welcome to Bay Ridge episode for people who want to learn about things to do in the neighborhood, but we figured we needed to talk with the mayor of Bay Ridge herself to actually get the info on this. And as that progressed, we just realized you just need to join the podcast.
I happen to agree.
I think the real question was, why haven't you invited me to be on the podcast
That's
yet?
right, yeah. I think what you mean is I finally voiced that I was deeply offended that I hadn't been.
And we finally relented.
We hate causing offense to those on the left.
That's right, yeah. I was actually crying, begging on my knees, and here we are in my home.
Easy as that.
That's right.
It's very hard to get onto this podcast.
If you too want to be on this podcast, simply show up to Vibetown Mansion crying, and you're in.
So, Ember, tell us a little bit about yourself if people don't know who you are, which we would find it hard to believe, especially if you follow us on Twitter, follow the podcast, or follow anything about Bay Ridge on Twitter.
Yeah, my name's Ember. I'm happy to be here. I really, really love Bay Ridge. I'm known for frequently referring to it as our nation's capital because that's just a disprovable fact. And I've worked in progressive politics in New York City now for about 5 years. I'm very excited to talk about this because I feel like Bay Ridge isn't known for its young people necessarily. That's not the stereotypical reputation that we have, so I'm happy to be here.
Wait, are you saying Bay Ridge isn't all gentrifying hipsters?
No, not yet, but I'm doing my best. No, just kidding. I hope it never becomes that.
Oh, I remember like when the Owl's Head wine bar opened, R.I.P. Owl's Head wine bar, but like it was like, oh, this is like a gentrifying thing, and it's like, the guy who runs it, John, who's been on the show for the History of Bay Ridge episode.
And the Art of the Gerrymander. Was it Liam who was going after Cocoa Grinder at one point?
For like...
Get over it.
Yeah, oh my gosh, there are coffee
people
shops.
Live here.
Good gravy.
I don't agree that Owl's Head was gentrification, but I will say my favorite memory of drinking in Bay Ridge, if I can share it with you for a moment, is a few years ago, my landlord, the first landlord I ever had here in Bay Ridge, would make us walk our checks directly to his apartment. And I walked and I knocked on the door to hand it to him. And he was like, hey, it's almost Christmas. And he brought me inside and then gave me 2 shots and then drove me to an Indian restaurant and dropped me off.
That was your first...
Anyway, down with landlords,
classic.
But just need to share that. Shout out to him. Real Italian man. You gotta love it.
If anyone has moved to Bay Ridge recently and this hasn't been your landlord experience, you're missing out.
Lodge a complaint, contact at radiofreebayridge.org.
That's right.
We'll drive you to a random Indian restaurant for you.
Excuse me, the one person with the car here.
Shout out to Bombay Grill.
Oh, wait, no, you've got a car too.
Yeah, but I can't drive it. It's just decoration.
See, this is also like more about like what Bay Ridge actually is. It's like, 60% non-car owning, mostly renters. Like, yeah, I'm going to go into the car stuff.
We basically have 60% non-usable car owning in this room right now.
This is not my car. I'm a car owner by association. This is not, don't have a license. Down with cars.
Brian is going to like march into the room right now and join us so we can talk about
Then it would be 75% non-car owning.
Anyway, so the point of today's episode is to go, Ember, to talk about things that you like to do in Bay Ridge. You're the Bay Ridge ambassador. You're the mayor. Most people who are new to the neighborhood, I've seen it online. They will go up to you and be like, what do I do when I'm here? Even if they're just visiting. Let's combine all that into a chaotic 45 minutes that no one will be able to decipher, but hopefully will be fun to listen to.
Yeah. Do you bleep F words on this podcast?
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't always.
Yeah. It'd be even
Always.
funnier if you were making this up, but you're not. Like, all the time I get DMs on Instagram, DMs on Twitter that will be from people that are like, hey, I'm going to Bay Ridge for the first time, or my mom is in town and we're going to have dinner in Bay Ridge. Where do I go? Or even weirder to me are people that are like, I lived in Bay Ridge 5 years ago and I'm coming to visit. Where should I go? Because I'm always like, you should be telling me.
Neighborhood doesn't change that fast.
Yeah, what do you think is happening? I mean, rip Century 21, but besides that.
Yeah, like you were going there for fine dining or something.
Yeah,
it was
when I
like...
think fine dining, I think Century 21. Tweet at me about my dream of making Century 21 into a haunted house, by the way.
Ooh, that would be so cool.
Yeah.
And if people do want to tweet at you, who should they be tweeting at?
Oh, yes. My handle is Embernick, EMBERNIC.
And I can hear already some of the conservative haters for the show. Their heads are spinning because, like,
We're going to get a whole new wave of trolls.
all of the people that they hate are slowly coming into this show.
Totally.
It's like Transformers, or which one was it where they all became different parts of the thing?
Oh, there are so many of those
Yeah, that's
shows.
a lot of things. Yeah.
Every 80s cartoon ever.
Yeah. Anyway, let's combine all that stuff because obviously you had answers, I hope, for some of those questions.
No, I was like, leave me alone. No, I'm just kidding. My favorite topic in the world is to tell people all the places I think they should go in Bay Ridge. I've actually broken them into categories.
And can I say, she literally has a list in front of her right now.
Yeah, this is not a lie.
This is amazing.
Like, I have a prepared list, but the funnier thing is I actually have a copy and pasted message for this purpose. That's how many times this happens to me. So I always know where to go get it in my notes app and just send this to people. So I have it broken down between restaurants, bars, or like places where you can hang out for a while, dessert, and then just like what to do if you want to like walk around or kill time or whatever.
Nice. And this is for, if you are new to the neighborhood, sure, but this is also for people who have been here clearly for 5 years or more. They'll ask you anyway, but also expand out what you think Bay Ridge is.
Get out of your apartment for the first time in a year and a half.
Yeah, don't go to the same thing. Before the show started, we were talking about bagels and how weird it is to like say what your favorite bagel place is in Bay Ridge because it's always the place that's closest to you.
Right.
We do have good bagels.
Unless you're driving to the bagel place that you specifically like in Bay Ridge. Number one, don't drive to get your bagel. Just go walk. That's why we have 3rd Avenue and it's why we have 5th Avenue. Everything is walkable
By the way,
in this
hot
neighborhood.
take, 3rd Avenue supremacy.
That's fair. That's
I'll
fair.
put that on the, I don't even live there, but I'll put that on the map.
Yeah, we're both 5th Avenue people, but like as our proximity thing, but like, yeah, 3rd Avenue.
I'm gonna say something a little different. North 3rd and 5th Avenue over South 3rd and 5th Avenue.
Ooh. That's a hot take.
Yeah, these are hot takes. These are the details that I like to dive in when I'm feeling especially patriotic about our nation's capital.
So why North Bay Ridge, Rachel?
Well, I mean, part of it might be my first apartment here was on Ovington, and so it was just, that's where I was. But I think it's a little more varied up here. You get a little bit like different kinds of stores. It's not all just cute boutiques and cute little restaurants, which, like, to be fair, very nice. But I find like once you cross over 86th Street, it just opens up a whole new world of like different kinds of things. And once you get to like 77th, 80th, something around in there, it's just a very different shift and you can kind of tell.
Well, the urban planner in me wants to say like part of that is because in the area of the 80s on 3rd, that is the highest concentration of car owners. It is the richest part of Shore Road.
Yeah.
And there are fewer people who walk in that area. So there is kind of a dearth of walkable commercial strip around there. And then in southern Bay Ridge, it's a lot of car dealerships that interrupt. So you notice like the bids, for example, like 5th Avenue bid only exists in northern Bay Ridge pretty much, if we count that as north of 86th Street.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The time has come though, because there's a very simple solution to all of this for the people that don't like to walk. Now I'd like to announce my dream of a travelator that is the length of 3rd Avenue. If you don't know what this is, it is the conveyor belt-like things that shuffle people up and down the airport. I really feel like that this is a dream come true.
We just need to replace the roadways.
That's right.
You don't need the buses anymore. You just need one long travelator.
Imagine moving if you could just like throw your bed on the sidewalk and it moved it for you.
Well, but here's my question. I mean, very much the same as we have people who think the bike lanes are too dangerous. Aren't there going to be people who think a travelator is too dangerous?
I mean, it's just a slow-moving... I mean, you could rush it.
It's going to be a protected travelator?
But it's not the bike lane that's dangerous. It's the cars that are dangerous. So step 1 is abolish cars. Step 2 is travelator up and down.
Because you can't have a car on the travelator.
Your true agenda.
That's right. Yeah, step 1.
Do you know how, like, you feel like you're, like, superhuman when you're walking on a travelator?
Yeah.
Like, you're like, imagine how power drunk a car driver would feel if they were driving on a Travelator.
Absolutely.
No. I mean, the car drivers would be driving and the Travelator would be kind of like where
Next
the
to
bike
it.
lane would be. And then the car owners would just swerve into it.
Oh, I
because
thought this would
that's
just
kind of-
be the whole
The
length
road.
of
Oh, you're
the
talking
street.
replacing the road.
Replace the
Yeah.
road
Like
with
in each direction?
No cars,
Just
only
only-
two-way Travelator.
two-way
Nice.
Travelator.
But we aren't discussing the most important thing, which is imagine how sexy we would all look on a Travelator.
Yeah, because you could
Imagine-
like strike a pose.
Dan,
Yeah.
I love you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Imagine.
absolutely.
Like your dress blowing in the wind and you're just not even walking, you're just moving slowly towards a man coming the opposite direction, or a woman, whatever. Anyone would look super hot on a Travelator.
So here's my suggestion. When's participatory budgeting coming up? Because this seems like a capital improvement.
There you go.
It would last at least 5 years.
I agree.
It starts up around fall. So any
there you
new people
go.
who want to submit capital improvement ideas, you
If
do
you
not have
submit
to
it-
be in Bay Ridge very long to think about what can be changed.
And if
Such
you
as a Travelator.
and if you submit a Travelator, I will 100% vote for it.
Absolutely. As mayor of Bay Ridge, I would like to declare that we're going to have a Travelator on 3rd Avenue.
As someone who has often been on the participatory budgeting board, I will absolutely fight for a Travelator among the various committees. Anyway, Ember pulled out a list,
I
and then
did,
we
yeah.
proceeded to utterly
We
ignore the
digress.
list.
Yeah. I was excited about my chance to talk about Travelators, but it's not on the list. But yeah, okay. So here's the list that I normally give people. It's certainly not exhaustive, but here's the list. So for restaurants, I always say that my favorite place to go is Home. It just occurred to me I should have included where these places are, but my favorite restaurant is Home, spelled Hom. They have a very small menu with some breakfast and some lunch items, but the real reason I like it is because it's like an antique store in the front. So you're just sitting around like a bunch of lamps, like old lamps and jewelry and
It
shit.
is so cool. They
It's
have like
fun.
a couple of like jams or things that they actually serve
Yeah.
for like the lunch or breakfast there, but the rest of it is just like knickknacks.
I love it. I bought a lamp from there for my birthday. Yeah, I just love that place. The people are super nice. Food is great. Whenever I walk in now, they're just like immediately, they're like, "Do you want a mimosa?" Because that's my
What?
brand. Yeah.
What?
It's incredible. You should go there.
Amazing.
The other places that I really like to eat are Firefly. Their food is amazing. They have live jazz on Saturday nights.
hmm
You all been there, I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think they take reservations if it's more than 6. Is that the
I
case?
think
Because I remember we
so.
tried to go and we didn't have enough people.
I always try to go to Firefly and then realize like they're closed. Because
Yeah.
I think
Monday
there's like
nights, yeah, don't go Monday nights.
and that's
Yeah.
the day I have off, so it's always like, God damn it.
This is more of a basic answer. I feel like this is everybody's answer, but I really like Cebu. That's like a bit pricier. People do like events and stuff there. It's like a good place if you're going for some sort of occasion, but I really like their duck spring rolls specifically.
Ooh.
Ooh, those are good. It's kind of, I always think of it as like the fancy Manhattan brunch vibe
Yeah.
kind of place.
Mhm.
And advice, their bacon comes in like a giant strip of bacon. It's like $5, but it's delicious.
They have vegetarian stuff too if you're not a meat eater, so
Yeah, just don't go on election day because invariably one of the political like
Absolutely.
people running is going to have rented out that place for like election night watching.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yep.
Or absolutely go on those nights
Yeah.
and get involved with local politics.
Yes, as you should.
As the local, hyper-local progressive political podcast, we should really be encouraging folks to do.
And
Stay
also,
away from
like,
politics.
If you're hanging out in Bay Ridge and you're walking around like we're encouraging you to, you will meet the local politicians. They are walking around on the streets
Totally.
at all times.
Before we started recording, Dan and I were having a conversation about just like bumping into Andrew Bernardus just casually.
Yeah,
He's-
with his stroller and his new
Yeah.
kid, and it's just like utterly adorable.
Yep, they're out there. They live life. They're eating. They're living.
And actually, if people at us, sometimes we will come out and join you.
That's
Yeah.
true. Oh yeah, I'm notorious for just tweeting like, "I'm at Lockyard, everybody come," and then just a random smattering of people come to eat. So I'll skim through the rest of these food. I was gonna say my favorite Chinese place. I really like Chopsticks, and then the place that I go when I'm sad to eat. These are very specific sad restaurants. My sad restaurant is Skinflint's because they will let me sit there forever and they don't judge me. And I sit outside and I drink my tears in like 11 cherry Cokes and I eat their shepherd's pie until I feel happy again.
Growing
So
up in
wholesome.
Bay Ridge, Skinflint's was the interesting hip place, and it totally turned into not that now, but it was hip because at that time they had their burger, they still do obviously, but they do their burgers on an English muffin, and they were like the rebels of the Bay Ridge restaurant
love it.
world.
I love people having a reputation simply for the existence of English muffins.
Yeah. Like that was something you didn't see because everything else was a diner.
Yeah.
And going even further back, wasn't that a soda shop? Didn't we learn that in one of our early episodes?
Yeah, I think in one of our early episodes we were talking with someone who's been here for like a while longer, and that was an old-fashioned soda shop, which we don't really have, I think,
No.
anymore in Bay Ridge.
Although apparently they're very good with the cherry cokes.
Yeah, so my favorite food is grenadine. I'm telling you, Skinflints does not, they're not shy with the grenadine ratio. It's really like you're having a glass of grenadine and a spoonful of Coke.
So wait, what are we doing after this recording session?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. And I already mentioned it earlier. I know y'all like Lockyard too. Lockyard is my favorite place to go if I have like a lot of time to kill, you know, if I'm just hanging out. Not that they take forever, I just like sitting there. Beautiful patio. And then desserts, Cheesecake Diva, but my favorite ice cream place is Sweet Sophie. They do rolled ice cream.
Ooh.
Yeah, if you haven't been there, it's relatively new. The guy there's name is like Johnny, I think. It's always the same grumpy looking man. And I love him because his whole life is scooping ice cream, but he looks so mad. And then it's like, what are you doing? But then when you talk to him, suddenly he's like Santa Claus. He just lights up and he's thrilled. So I love that place. Yeah, my favorite flavor is Monkey Business, which is banana and Nutella. But we're to the end of my list, the best part of the list, in my opinion, which is what to do if you're not hungry in Bay Ridge.
Yeah, that's always seems to be like the default, because we do have like 2 commercial avenues for like a residential neighborhood. We were like overabundant with commercial spaces.
We're a destination for Diker Heights and Bensonhurst.
Yeah, we're where people on Staten Island will go drive out because they want to be in the city, and I'm doing air quotes right now, but like they get over the bridge and it's like, I've paid the toll, so I'm in the city and I'm gonna go eat here. So that's why we have so many great restaurants, but we have a lot of things that are not that.
Absolutely. And I love walking in Bay Ridge, unless it's like pouring down rain. I take a pretty hefty walk almost every evening from where I live to the bridge going on 3rd, and then I come back home on 5th. Of course, I love walking on Shore Road like everybody else does, but I'm also obsessed with this. I'm laughing because I know this is ridiculous, but I'm obsessed with this place that I call the Hole. And I know, like, when I first moved here, I made my boyfriend go to the Hole, and I just kept saying, come on, we're going to the Hole. And I told him that it's like the #1 tourist destination of Bay Ridge. We're walking, and it's just this rectangular hole in the sidewalk that has like fish in it. But I love it so much. It's on Shore Road and like McKay Place or something.
Right near the Bay Ridge Botanical Gardens, which we have a botanical gardens, which really isn't like an actual, it's a New York City park that a bunch of volunteers over like decades have grown into their own little personal garden, and it has like a turtle sanctuary and the eponymous hole.
And the hole, man!
Because there really isn't a name for it. It doesn't have like a sign.
Now.
There's an
It's the hole.
It's now the hole. We need to talk with whoever like manages the
I think you've got a direct line.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'll contact my local elected officials. I actually do have a brief political story about the hole, which is that when I wanted to take my boyfriend there, I could not for the life of me remember where it was. And I asked Justin Brannon verbatim, do you remember the cross streets of the hole? I had never called it this. And he was like, oh yeah, and sent them to me. What?
That is like a preternatural ability. Because there's also a fake hole. There's a false hole elsewhere.
Oh, the foal?
Yeah, there's a foal. Which isn't filled with water and has no fish.
Or baby horses.
Yeah.
The Cocoa Grinders, which were coffee shops that are now closed. I think in our last episode we recommended going to Cocoa Grinder, but now they're all gone. But the guy who owns them like had a horse, and he would just like ride his. You might see his horse occasionally at summer.
Wait, did he actually ride the horse?
Yeah, it comes to summer stroll.
Like to work?
Oh, I don't know about that.
I don't know if he rode it to work, but he would ride it around
day.
Outside of the Cocoa Grinders.
That's amazing.
Really the only horse you see in Bay Ridge. Like, we don't even really get clops, which is my affectionate name for horse cops. I don't see them here very often.
Yeah.
There are some. I've seen them
Every
going
now
up
and
and
then?
down, yeah.
They come down occasionally, but like it's pretty rare.
I mean, given the way people drive around here, I don't really blame them.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
You'll get an occasional like antique car because so many people in
So
Diker
cool.
have like a ton of antique cars, and they
So
need to
cool.
like drive around and be
Who was-
seen. And this
who was
is where
the guy
you're
you found who
seen.
had like 11 cars he parked on the street?
Yeah, there was like a video
Yeah.
on Facebook like 3 years ago that someone took of this one guy on alternate side parking day moving 11 cars
How do
in
you even
sequence.
do that without getting a ticket?
I love the way you say that like it's a holiday. On alternate side parking day.
It is a holiday for 40% of Bay Ridge.
It's not a very good holiday.
I also wanted to add all of these things. If you want to come to Bay Ridge and witness our alternate side parking day, I highly recommend that you take the ferry here. I think that's an excellent experience that
Oh, yeah.
we forget. Oh, and then the last thing on my list that no one gets to experience but me is I don't know if you all know this, but we have a 6th Avenue troll here in Bay Ridge. You might be familiar with mythological trolls that make you answer riddles.
Not Twitter trolls.
No, like a real troll that make you answer riddles to pass. We have one of those here. My next door neighbor never speaks to me. We don't cross paths very often, but when we do, he only greets me with a riddle and will not let me go anywhere until I answer it or am very, very enthusiastic about what the answer could be.
Good Lord.
I swear this happens
Wow.
to me at least once every 2 weeks when I bump into him. I will be like, my hand's still on the doorknob, closing my door, and he will be like, "What do you call a?" And I'm like, "Whoa, where did you come from?"
So actually, I want to just throw in here, like, the neighbor vibe in
Yeah.
Bay Ridge is very interesting because I've lived in 2 or 3 places in New York and I've never had neighbors who want to just come out and like chat.
Mhm.
But I have a neighbor who, they have a driveway, lucky people. And one day I accidentally had my car a little too in front of their driveway and they wrote me this really nice note and he like came out and was so pleasant and so like, and I was really apologetic. And then the next time I saw him crossing a street and it was like, "Hey, how are you?" And like, now we're best friends because I parked really badly in front of his house one day. And then he jumped my car another time. And you have
Aw.
this lovely neighbor who asks you riddles and
Yeah,
detains you.
Shout out to Chris, who I
And then-
guarantee isn't listening to this, but
And
shout
then
out to you.
You have some fun neighbors too, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I have a bunch of... There's a lot of teachers in Bay Ridge. My current neighbors are teachers, and they're absolutely lovely. I have no idea if they even know that I do this podcast or they're listening, but if you guys are listening, thank you so much for just being, like, so compatible when I had a piano pushed up against the wall of my apartment, and
Oh,
I
wow.
don't know how to play piano.
Oh dear.
I used to be fortunate enough to live across the street from Parrot Man. I don't know what his real name is, but there was you all. I can't tell if you're like
we're both
excited
like,
or if
what?
you don't know what I'm talking about.
I know of a Parrot Man, and I'm not sure if it's the same Parrot
It's
Man.
Bay Ridge, there
that
could
it's
be
not.
2.
I hope we have multiple Parrot Men. But no, I used to live over on 77th between like 3rd and 4th, and there was a guy there. I could hear
It's
them.
the same Parrot Man.
Oh man, well, the Parrot Man was my neighbor, and from my bedroom in the morning, I would hear like squawking, and I wasn't even mad. I loved it. And then I would come outside, and he has like lattice on his porch, and there would just be parrots crawling up and down it. It was sick.
Wait, how many parrots are we talking about here?
Like 2 or 3.
There's at
my
least
God.
2 or 3, and
Yeah.
that's just on the outdoor patio that you
Yeah.
can see.
It's like 2 doors before like the VFW or whatever that is right there.
Yeah. And then there's other really weird, like, if you're walking in Bay Ridge, and we said walk the avenues first, absolutely, but then just walk random streets.
Yeah.
Because you will find such cool shit. Do the step streets. They're fun.
Yeah.
My mom knows someone who, like, lives right next to one, and they're always afraid for the safety of people who come down when it rains to take photos of the
Oh,
waterfall.
geez.
I was about to say, don't try this at home, kids. It's worth it at least once to go look at it when it's raining. It is pretty cool. You shouldn't come down the steps when it's raining. You should figure out how to be there and like look at the rain.
I've
It is pretty
never
cool.
seen this.
Oh, it's really cool. It looks like a huge waterfall when it's like torrential downpouring down the stairs.
Like the last 2
Like
days.
yeah, like the last 2 days. It's really.
Yeah.
I almost walked down there, but it was raining too much even for me. to
We're
walk that far.
recording this 2 days after the bulk of Henry hit.
I forget the exact, I'm not going to say I forgot, I'm going to say that you should go find it out for yourself. But there's another street that has just, the guy is from Crete and had built an entire self-enclosed
Oh, yeah.
model of the island of Crete in like pebbles and like HO scale model
What?
like sets.
Yeah.
Weird found beach objects.
I remember the first
It
time I
is
was-
like the weirdest thing, but like I think he might have passed and like someone else is taking care of it. It's starting to like deteriorate a little bit. So like go see it. But it's really fun.
I remember the first time I saw that was when I was knocking doors in 2018, and you're just like walking along with your packet, canvassing, and then it's like, wait, what is that?
It looks like it's like a greenhouse,
It's so cool.
but it's made for like a cat, 3 or 4 feet tall, but it's big for what it is. And then like you peer inside and it's this elaborate diorama.
Wow.
It's like 100% not what you're expecting on a street in Bay Ridge.
I definitely do recommend walking down just random streets. There's so much stuff like that. Like, I don't remember where they are, but there are hitching posts you can find here too that are like shaped like horses still. It's
Oh,
like a it's
wow.
like a pole and then like a horse head at the top, and they were hitching posts.
I was doing research for an episode that was going to be about shared sacrifice in Bay Ridge, talking about COVID, and I was reading about, like, in World War II, we still had the old trolley tracks on, like, all of the avenues. The shared sacrifice for World War II with rationing is the local kids went up and tore out all of the trolley tracks, or as many as they could find and get and pry out, to, like, donate the metal to the war effort.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, we used to have a ton of trolleys coming through here. The ferry is cool because the ferry is just a reincarnation of the original ferry before we had a bridge. That was how
Right.
you got to Staten Island. Now it's how you get down to downtown Brooklyn. But
And in addition to like seeing cool things everywhere, there's so much people watching in Bay Ridge
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I really love one of my favorite places to sit in Bay Ridge actually is the Gazebo in Cannonball Park. And if you go during the day, especially on a weekend, there are always people taking wedding pictures there and family pictures there, and it's really nice.
yeah, Cannonball is, if you have to Google it, it's John Paul Jones Park, right?
Yes.
Just giving people, like, the local place names for everything. So we got
Yes.
the Hole
The whole yeah.
and Cannonball Park, and
Big-
those are the only two things in Bay Ridge with
There's
unique
kind
names.
of three categories. There's the actual name, the Bay Ridge name, and then Ember's name.
Yeah, Ember has a few names that aren't right, like the big white place, that's Ammonia Cafe. Shout out to Ammonia Cafe's hot chocolate.
Just other places to wander, like the parks are amazing. Owl's Head Park,
You mean Bliss Park?
Bliss Park. That's what all the old timers are calling it, Bliss
Now,
Park. It's Owl's Head Park.
I
I
heard
mean, come
something
on.
really interesting the other day, and I actually wanted to ask you about it. It's something about the old train out to Staten Island that they were going to build, but
Oh, yeah.
the thing terminates in Owl's Head Park, and you
Yeah.
can find it or something.
If you go down to the very base of Owl's Head Park, there's like a little bike lane. It goes off the main
Yeah.
road coming off of Owl's Head Park. And if you're right there, you are on top of the secret tunnel down to the subway that they were building to cross the Narrows. That was built. It was actually dug and built and then capped off. If you come into Bay Ridge on the R train, which 60% of you are, you will see as you're coming out of 59th Street on your right, as you're coming into Bay Ridge, there is like a little bit of a turn in the track and the tunnel that nothing is on, and then it just dead ends. And that was supposed to be where one of the trains, maybe the R train, they might have been running multiple trains through 59th, but that's where a train was supposed to go down before it reached Bay Ridge. It was supposed to go down and to Staten Island.
Wait, they were just going to bypass Bay Ridge on
Yeah,
the way
they
to
were,
Staten
'cause-
Island?
Yeah, they were going to take
seems
that as the Narrows. And then
incorrect.
eventually they were going to try to take 95th Street and make that where it dived
Yeah.
down to where the Narrows is now. That's
an
why
angle.
86th Street is like built to be an express stop.
I've always thought it would make a lot of sense to have something go from like 95th Street or 86th Street, I guess you're saying, and then go like over to Bensonhurst and like connect
Oh,
us
yeah.
to that whole Coney Island.
If we close Fort Hamilton, we can extend the subway underneath Fort Hamilton, have a new subway stop and affordable housing.
There
But
we
that's
go.
that's a different episode.
I'm down for that.
Wait, didn't we read something about Fort Hamilton the other night?
Oh, you mean FoHam?
FoHam. Yeah, in
FoHam.
terms of like fake
FoHam.
names for things.
Got it.
Shout out to Alison Rubicelli, who apparently originated FoHam as a joke. We have to give that proper credit.
That's-
She's no longer in Bay Ridge, but I hope she's listening.
Take notice, realtors.
Big FoHam fan.
No. There was something about one of the barracks having some residents who.
Oh yeah, let's start
We
talking
might
about
wanna
our
visit in
future
October.
plans.
Oh, I have so many future plans. So it's already Halloween here in Vibetown Mansion. I decorated yesterday, which was August 22nd. So
It is very extensive decorations. I walked in and I was like, wow, she wasn't kidding.
Oh,
Love
I'm not
it.
even
Love
done
it.
yet. This
I
is
believe
2
that.
boxes out of 5.
Oh my.
Shit.
But yeah, so I've been doing some research the last couple days into supposed haunted places in Bay Ridge, and our boy FoHam, it's got a couple of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of barracks stories. So
It's really funny that it's in the barracks. The one haunted place I have ever slept was Old Fort Niagara up in Buffalo. And there was a whole story about a guy who got his head chopped off and it went down the well, and they put all the Girl Scouts in the next room. So yeah, I can't handle that.
my brain didn't process that fast enough, so I don't know. My brain was like, oh, they chopped a man's head off and Girl Scouts were in the next room. Like at the same time. I was like, wow, that's an unfortunate trip.
Yeah.
Well,
no,
I could try to find, and you could go back to my racist monuments in Bay Ridge episode, but like, there's a bunch of stuff that happened to Robert E. Lee's family while he was here in Bay Ridge. Like, his kid got his hand caught in a hay thresher and like lopped off his hand. We could go see if we can find the ghost of Robert E. Lee's kid's hand. I don't think it's actually on the army base. It would have to be like somewhere around, I think in the 90s, close to the water, he had his actual like private house.
I don't want to give away all of our upcoming surprises, but I do think it will be a very fun episode. I'm trying to get us to actually like, we're going to get our ghost hunting on, you know?
That's going to be so much fun.
I know.
And then we're going to do stuff more about places to eat, things to do, stuff like that. I'm also going to throw out, and this is like an incredibly hot take that everyone is going to hate maybe, but
boy.
best Italian food in the neighborhood is actually Picante. Which is a
Mm.
tiny hole in the wall. It has like a blue awning. It's on 3rd Avenue in the 70s. And they just have amazing pasta. They just do simple pastas, and they're the absolute best. Don't waste your time with any place that has like more than 5 tables if it's an Italian place.
Now that we're talking about Italian, that reminds me that I didn't go into a very important category, which is which place has the hottest waiters.
We have to do that.
And the answer is both Vesuvio as well as Cebu.
Mm.
people at
So
Cebu
you have a North
actually-
Bay Ridge and a South Bay
There
Ridge
you go.
That's
option.
right.
There you
Yeah, the
go.
people at Cebu actually don't look like real people. They were like sculpted out of clay and beauty.
That is like a Manhattan thing where it's like everyone there is like trying to be on Broadway.
Yeah, like when you walk in there, you can tell it is a prerequisite to be extremely sexy to be
Mm.
hired here.
Well, you have to be sexy to be in Bay Ridge in general, so there's like a certain like bar,
That's
I
right.
feel.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
if
we
you're
are-
listening to the show, you've already
Yeah,
reached a
you've
certain
surpassed the
level of
bar already.
attraction.
That's absolutely right. Don't forget though, don't harass your waiters and
No.
tip 30%.
Something the other day, somebody posted this morning that during the hurricane, Uber was giving like $20 off orders or something like that.
Mm.
And all the comments were like, well, we hope you tip the waiter who you made go out there in like life-threatening wind
Yeah.
conditions. Like,
The kings of Bay Ridge are all of our delivery drivers. Just give
Mhm.
them
Yeah.
as much space and time as they need. They are rushing food to absolutely everyone from our plethora of restaurants.
But
Well-
Dan, you know how much easier it's going to be to DoorDash when we have a 3rd Avenue Travelator?
It's going to be so much easier.
they
You
can
don't
just
put
even
it down.
they can just put
you don't
your
need
food
to. Yeah,
on
you
there.
just put the food on the
Yeah.
Travelator.
Actually, they could get those little locking boxes people put outside that are like opened with a keypad.
Exactly.
And then
Yeah,
it's like
there
you
you
would
go.
just go wait by the Travelator and your
Right.
food would come and you'd like hit the keypad stuff in really
How
quick. You
long
could even
until
hop on the
Amazon figures out
Travelator.
that this is a thing and starts stealing our
Well,
idea?
if we
I-
install a Travelator in Bay Ridge, then we will be able to make them pay us royalties.
I'm confused
There we
because
go.
it seems to me that you're implying that Jeff Bezos doesn't listen to every episode of Radio Free Bay
He
Ridge.
does. I have the tracking information.
Oh,
No,
Actually,
we don't track anyone on
the
the
only
show.
the only problem with Amazon coming in and taking our Travelators, Nicole Maliatakis would probably excuse them from paying any and all sales tax.
Oh.
Verrazano Travelator.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. If you're new to Bay Ridge, you should know our local politicians. We should just name them.
I love that you say politicians and not elected officials.
Know our local Slimeballs.
First of all, our city councilman.
First of all, local Slimeball, City Councilman Justin
Justin
Brannon. No, he's nice. We love him.
Please harass him online.
Please tweet mean things at him. No, we
No,
love him.
he's
He's
a
good.
lovely man. Andrew Gennardis, who's our state senator.
Also good.
Very
Nicole
effective.
Maliatakis, like
Not good. Slimeball.
not good slime
Terrible.
ball. Actual, not a joke.
Terrible. Actual fascist voted to overturn the election, voted down $30 billion in federal funding for public transit,
Welcome to Bay
voted
Ridge,
against the
folks.
Equality Act, voted against the PRO Act in the most heavily unionized district. And I will stop now, even though I
If you
could go
moved here,
on.
you probably knew about Bay Ridge. Always gets news articles about how we're like a conservative place. What is it? The pastry place is just
Rocco's,
like Rocco's
Rocco's.
put up just like a we will serve
With-
everyone.
with what's his name, who's
Vaccinated
opposing
or
Justin,
unvaccinated.
Ryan
screaming.
Fox.
Oh, I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of hearing his name on the podcast.
I want
but
these
okay.
people are new. They need to know.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. So Brian Fox, who held a protest outside Gracie Mansion, that hot spot of many miles from Bay Ridge, screaming, lock him up because our city councilman thinks people should get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Good God. So yeah, there are some places to not go, clearly. And they'll make themselves really obvious.
One place to definitely go if you're a progressive is the voting booth because we have really close elections
Yeah,
here.
Pokemon go to the polls.
Absolutely get involved in local politics because
Mhm.
stuff actually matters here. It's so much fun being in politics in Bay Ridge. Like,
I'd be so bored.
I've
anywhere
never
else.
lived anywhere else, but I imagine if I lived somewhere else where it's like, default that the Democrat always wins and it really doesn't matter and all I need to worry about is the primary. Like, that does not happen here.
No.
No.
I mean, sometimes we do have very intense primaries, I will say that.
Oh, we do.
In all seriousness, though, Bay Ridge does have such a reputation for being so conservative, but that's really not like Blue Ridge all the way, you know? There are progressives here. If you're progressive and you really did just move to Bay Ridge or you're thinking about it, like, don't be afraid. We're here.
Yeah.
Your people are
Contact
here.
at radiofreebayridge.com.
That's right. Like, we have, you can learn more about local progressive organizations on the website. We're here. You're not alone.
Yeah, go through our back catalog of episodes.
That's
We've
right.
been here for a while.
And we're mostly friendly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most of the time.
Just because Republicans drive out here to eat doesn't mean
That's
that
right.
it's a red neighborhood.
That's right.
Just because every so often one of our local politicians on the Republican side hosts the Proud Boys, we're not that bad.
No.
We're
And
not all doing that.
we kicked that guy out.
We did.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, you can go down to like the really Richie McRicherson part of Shore Road with all of the mega mansions and like gawk at the gold pools and just know that they're a tiny part of the neighborhood.
The 1%.
I really sometimes, if any of our Patreons are listening, I do have to do our ugly housing tour of Bay
You really
Ridge
do.
where I make fun of McMansions.
You've been promising this
I've
for
been
like,
promising it for so long.
Since before the pandemic.
I know.
McMansion, bad. Vibetown Mansion, good.
We could just move our studio over here. It's really nice.
Thank you. You're always welcome.
I particularly like the skeletons hanging from the ceiling. I hope that's a year-round thing.
They weren't, but they are now.
Anyway, Ember, thank you for joining the show.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining permanently. You're now officially a contributor to the podcast.
Our first new addition in quite a while.
Yeah, in quite a while. If anyone else is listening and you're like, I could never join a podcast, it's like, yes,
You can!
you absolutely
You
could.
can join
You
a
can.
podcast.
You can. Just tweet enough, and they will come to you.
Yeah, or go to Ember's house
come
and
to us
cry,
and ask.
and
Come to
Ember
me.
will let you in.
Come to me, cry. If your crying is good enough, I'll think about it.
Yeah.
You'll refer them up the chain.
That's right.
Until next
it.
time, everyone, welcome to Bay Ridge if you're new, and if you're not, explore some new stuff about Bay Ridge. We're going to have some cool things coming up on our social media that are more to do with that more than just this episode. So stay tuned for that secret stuff, wink wink, that Ember
Wink, wink, wink.
wants to do. So we will just do it. But until next time, everyone.
Stay free, Bay Ridge.
Our nation's capital.